everyone. Welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing Jujutsu Kaisen, The Spider's Curse. What if Miles Morales was Sukuna's vessel? Season 1, Part 8. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. So with Part 8, this series is wrapping up to a close rather quickly, as the next two parts, Parts 9 and 10, will effectively wrap up Season 1 of this series. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, will we be doing Season 2? Yes, we will, and as you know, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is out right now, but we will not be covering Season 2 in this phase, but we will be saving that for other installments of the Spider-Verse saga down the line. However, I am happy to announce that we will be covering the Gojo Past arc this year. So after we conclude Season 1, we will be covering the Gojo Past arc. More details will be posted, so keep looking out for post notifications in the community tabs so you can see more of what's to come out with this series. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The cursed spirit Hanami would continue its assault on the Jujutsu High students. Megumi was at the end of his rope along with Maki as they had attempted to fight off the plant-like cursed spirit. However, after being stabbed through the stomach by multiple buds that were now starting to grow plants within them, shortening and absorbing their cursed spirit energy, they found themselves at the end of their rope. That was until they would be saved by the most unlikeliest of foursomes, that being in the form of Miles, Itadori, Todo, and Frank. Panda had also shown up as well, grabbing both Megumi and Maki, getting them out of there, with Megumi leaving some information for Todo as the 4-on-1 was now set to begin. However, before they would all go in for the charge, Todo would stop them, stating that he wanted Itadori and Morales to go first. He wanted them to perform the Black Flash. If they couldn't do that, then neither he nor Frank were going to get involved. Of course, Frank saw this as a win. If the vessel of Sukuna dies, then that's all fine with him. He would sit back, standing next to a tree, while Todo would take his position, watching as the two boys would ready themselves. They would begin their fight against the plant-like cursed spirit that had its left arm wrapped up. Even with only using one arm, it was well versed in combat, being able to hold its own against the likes of Itadori and against Miles. However, Miles, using his spider sense, was able to hold his own against the cursed spirit, even when it tried to launch offenses by creating roots from underground to attack them from every which way. And as for Itadori, his being able to manifest chi, the positive energy that could counteract against the negative energy that was cursed energy itself, was also able to deal mighty damage. But Todo still wasn't impressed, in fact stopping them midway through the fight and giving both boys a slap in the face. He could tell that they were fighting with hyped emotion and with anger. But right now, in order for them to achieve what they needed to, they had to have a clear mind and focus. To achieve the Black Flash, they had to enter into a frenzy-like state, something akin to what an athlete might call the zone, where their usage of cursed energy is at an all-time high, functioning at peak performance. With a clear head, the two boys would now re-engage once more. Itadori, allowing all of his negativity to boil up to the surface, and then to immediately wash it all away, converting all of that cursed energy into pure golden chi, while Miles regulated the cursed energy within himself, bringing it to the forefront. Hanami would stand guard as the two boys would now begin their assault, Miles from the right and Itadori from the left. Miles would strike at the legs and the arms of the cursed spirit, dealing multiple forms of damage, while Itadori would strike at the midsection and the chest. And this gave them what they wanted. For Miles, he achieved the Black Flash, while Itadori, he achieved what you would consider a Black Flash, but when using chi, it was called Golden Flash. Even Frank was impressed as he stood next to Toto. Those bastards actually managed to pull it off. I expect nothing less from my brothers. Your brothers? Don't you know? We share a brotherhood, a bond that can't be broken. But still, why did you want Itadori to attempt Black Flash? He's using chi, right? Like those guys in Kung Lung. It's not like cursed energy. No, it's not. It's something entirely different, but it does damage on a different scale. Allow me to break the fourth wall and explain what Golden Flash and Black Flash are. Black Flash is still the same as it is in the Jujutsu Kaisen series, what Miles is performing, so there's no need for me to go into explanation there. However, Golden Flash is something entirely different. Remember, in this universe, using chi is using pure positive energy that counters negative or cursed energy. I've used this before, but it's like math. You take a negative one and a positive one, you combine them together to get 0. The purpose of using chi to counter cursed energy is that when the two energies collide, if they're of the same strength, both will cancel each other out. That just leaves the pure raw strength of two individuals. So whoever is the strongest will always win. Now, this applies to sorcerer on sorcerer combat. So, to use a better example, let's say that Fushiguro was fighting Itadori. If Fushiguro were to throw a punch using cursed energy, and Itadori were to throw a punch using chi, the two attacks, if they're of the same power, will completely cancel each other out. At that point, whoever has the overall stronger strength, that being of their natural body, being either Itadori or Megumin, will ultimately win that clash. However, it's a lot different with a cursed spirit, since a cursed spirit is nothing but cursed energy given form. So, in this regard, think of chi working in the same lines as Baryon Mode Naruto from the Naruto/Boruto series. And remember how when Naruto using Baryon Mode, each attack that he landed on Ishiki shaved off his lifespan. So in a similar way, a chi user fighting against a cursed spirit uses their chi to just completely eviscerate the cursed energy. And since a cursed spirit is nothing but cursed energy, that equals to total eradication. However, using chi is extremely difficult. It's converting all of that negative emotion into pure positive energy. That means in order to use chi at its absolute fullest, you have to have a heart that is free of hatred, which is something that not a lot of people can do. Even for someone like Gojo, as powerful as he might be, the only reason why he's so strong is because he is ultimately the master of cursed energy. Even for his bright and happy personality, there will always be an underlying darkness within him, a hatred that he can never ever extinguish. As such, using chi would be impossible for someone like him. But for someone like Danny Rand, who has overcome the many flaws and the many forms of darkness within himself, he's been able to expunge all negativity, fighting in what he calls the glow, pure positivity. That's why, despite this being a very dangerous technique for Jujutsu sorcerers, you would think that there would be a lot more fighters from Kung Lung that use this technique, but they're actually small in number. Because this is so hard, it's why there are not so many people who can actually use this ability. But for those that can, when someone who uses chi enters into what you might call the zone, they perform what is called Golden Flash. Now, another reference, just to make sure that you're all following along, imagine what Miles is doing with Black Flash as what Rock Lee does when he uses the 8 gates. He's just using bone-crushing strength to destroy his enemy on the outside. However, Golden Flash does damage on the inside of the body, akin to Neji with the Gentle Fist. So, with that explanation, this gives you a better understanding of what Miles and Itadori are doing to Hanami, with Miles using the destructive power of cursed energy, and with Itadori using the destructive power of positive chi. One does internal damage to a cursed spirit, while the other one does external damage on the outside. With that out of the way, that gives you the full breakdown of how their powers work. And this is what Todo wanted to see. The boys continuing to use Black and Golden Flash respectively, striking Hanami from both sides, not giving it a chance to rest. Having been satisfied and gotten what he was looking for, Frank and Todo would now get involved, with Frank using his own specially made cursed tool. And also, because of the fact that he had used the heavenly restrictions, his body did not give off any cursed energy at all, making him completely undetectable to Hanami. And it only made matters worse when Todo started to implement his own cursed technique, that being the Boogie Woogie. Hanami now found itself completely on the defensive, even more so in the original timeline. Not only was he facing off against 2 highly skilled sorcerers, but now he was also facing off against a chi prodigy who was striking him with a power that he simply wouldn't even know how to counter. And then there was Frank, who was completely undetectable thanks to his heavenly restriction, removing all of his cursed energy. But even still, having his enhanced power, along with his cursed tool, his katana, it also made him a danger to go up against. The cursed spirit Hanami would have no choice but to go completely onto the defensive a lot sooner, having no choice but to use its second arm. But even still, that wouldn't be enough. Between Golden and Black Flash, between the Boogie Woogie, and between the unseen sorcerer, Hanami would be completely outmatched in this fight. It didn't help matters when the veil would be lifted, allowing for Gojo, who now hovered above the entire forest, to finally step in. He arrived to where Gakuganji was and made short work of Juzo, destroying his arms and legs, stopping him from causing any more disturbance, and then finally shooting off Hollow Purple, completely eviscerating a part of the forest, and not even knowing if he had managed to exorcise the plant-like cursed spirit at all. The boys would definitely be impressed with Gojo's power, with Frank even commenting under his breath, not knowing who was the real monsters here, the sorcerers or the cursed spirits. All the same though, the fighting would come to an end. The teachers and the principals respectively would meet to discuss what had happened. Gakuganji, along with Masamichi, would have to go over and tally the deaths that had occurred. Someone had broken into the inventory vault that was hidden under the school. Under normal circumstances, Tengen's barrier was able to keep all of the secret passageways relatively hidden. However, someone had managed to come in and find exactly what they had been looking for, stealing the cursed fingers of Sukuna that the school had managed to capture so far. Gojo suspected that it was probably the same ones who were involved with the special grades that he had come into contact with, along with the special grade that had fought against Hanami as well as Miles. All of this was very unsettling, but for Gojo, he had even greater concern. This couldn't have been by chance. Multiple special grade curses all convening together, all of them moving as if they had one goal in mind. And based off of the interrogations that they had done to Juzo, it was obvious that there was someone pulling the strings. And potentially, there could be a traitor in their midst. Of course, for now, this was nothing more but speculation. But for the students, as well as the teachers, they would all have to remain on guard, not knowing when or where the enemy was going to strike next. A day would be taken off as affairs would have to be getting into order, but the exchange event would continue, that being in the form of a baseball game between the two schools. This was a lot more relaxed, and it seemed like most of the animosity between the students had faded for the most part. However, the two principals of their respective schools for Tokyo and Kyoto, Principal Gakuganji and Principal Musamichi, would discuss what to do with Miles going forward. Despite your hatred for the boy, he has done good. It's not any personal hatred or grudge. We have tradition and law that must be followed. You of all people should know this. Gojo continues to do as he please, a power that goes completely unchecked. Miles' very existence goes against everything we stand for. Excuse me. What is it, Miles? Musamichi would ask. I wanted to speak with you both, if that's all right. Both would nod and listen to him. I wanted to say I'm sorry. To both of you, and to everyone. Gakuganji would raise his eyebrow. You are apologizing to me, despite the fact that I have tried to take your life on multiple occasions. Well, yeah, it's not anything personal. I understand why you're doing what you're trying to do, and I don't blame you. From what I've been able to learn, I know that it's your responsibility. It's your duty to protect the world. I'm not trying to run from my death, although at the same time, I can't say that I welcome it with open arms. There are still so many things I've never really gotten to do, and I know that for a Jujutsu sorcerer, they end up dying with many regrets. But even still, I'm not asking for you to bend the rules for me, or to be lenient in any sort of way that causes you ultimate disharm. If it comes down to it, I'll die whenever I need to. But for now, while I am alive, I want to do as much good as I can. If what Gojo-sensei says is true, this might be your one and only chance to rid the world of Sukuna forever. You don't know if another vessel may ever come along, and based off of how strong the fingers are already become, you can't even exercise them anymore, and your seals are getting weaker and weaker as time goes by. If I'm the best chance you have to get rid of Sukuna, then allow me to continue on. I'll take it no matter what, and when the time comes for me to die, I'm ready without any hesitation. I don't care who it is, and I don't care how it has to be. When the time comes to take my life, just take it. The two principals would be surprised at the boy's maturity. Gakuganji would nod before standing before Miles and doing something that no one would expect. He would actually bow to the young man. You did not ask for this fate. I read the report of what happened. You did what you had to do, despite not knowing a thing about Jujutsu or Jujutsu sorcerers. You have taken on a great burden, and as such, the least we can do is honor this request. I cannot speak for the other elders. However, I can say this much. For now, I will put my trust in you. But do keep in mind, Mr. Morales, if the day comes when you must be exorcised, there is not one expense we will not pay to doing so. I understand. Thank you, Sensei. As Miles would leave, the two principals would agree to watch over Miles for now. Although Gojo smugly walking past them, Gakuganji was more concerned about him than even Miles. The baseball game went relatively smooth for the most part. Everyone was able to have their friendly rivalries, and most of the bad blood had been smoothed over. Well, most of it. Don't get me wrong, there were people who still had grudges here and there. That wasn't going to change. Although everyone came together for one form of camaraderie, that being when Maki ended up pelting Toto in the face with a baseball and everyone shouted out nice pitch. It's a shame when a lot of blood feuds form around, and yet you produce enough hatred to put even those to rest. When it was all said and done, as the students were enjoying a meal, as Itadori was making his famed meatballs, chicken meatballs, they're really easy to make, simple recipe. A hot pot was brewing and everyone was looking forward to the meal. Miles would be standing outside as Frank would end up standing next to him. I don't hate you, Morales. I know. You hate what's inside of me. I heard about your story. You had to fake your death. Leave your mom and dad behind. That couldn't have been easy for you. No, it wasn't. Honestly, there's not a day that goes by when I don't think about trying to go back and say something to them one more time. But I know that would be selfish. The moment I tell them everything that's happening, there's no way that they could ever allow me to go through with what I'm doing. And the sad part is, I know ultimately I would listen to them. I love them very much. I don't want to harm them or hurt them. That's why they can never know that I'm alive. They've already accepted my death, as painful as it might be, and they're already starting to move on. If I show up, I'd just be reopening old wounds. It's best to let the sleeping dogs stay where they lie. When my time comes, it comes. And at least I'll die knowing that I made the world a safer and better place for them. I'm sorry about what happened to your girlfriend and your child. Really. I hate cursed spirits, Morales. I hate them for what they did to me, for what they've done to the world. Quite frankly, I don't like cursed energy either. Everyone said that I could have been a great sorcerer if I hadn't done the heavenly restriction, with all the anger and the hate that I have boiled inside of me. But in the end, as a memento to those that I've lost, I vowed that I would never use cursed energy. I only make the exception using cursed tools, but that's it. Other than that, I don't want to use the stuff. But I do want to rid the world of cursed spirits. You and I are on the same side. For now, we'll work together. We'll defeat the cursed spirits and Sukuna. When it's time for you to go, I'll be there. I appreciate it. The two would do a fist bump before returning inside with everyone else to enjoy the food and the camaraderie. You never know how long the good times will last. Troubles will always be on the horizon and will always brew. The life of a Jujutsu sorcerer is not a fair one. Many do not get to die a proper or a pleasant death. Many die in dark and cold places, some never even to be recovered. And that's if you're lucky, if there's even a body left to find. No, the life of a Jujutsu sorcerer is not fair, nor is it pleasant. But even still, they continue on in their fight. A never-ending struggle that never seems to end. For many, they say that it's the job of a fool, the job of those who are purely insane. And perhaps you're right, because after all, no sane person would ever become a Jujutsu sorcerer. This concludes Jujutsu Kaisen: The Spire's Curse. What if Miles Morales was Sukuna's vessel? Season 1, Part 8. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications. Also, stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we begin our final series in the Spireverse saga. That being Rosario plus Vampire Scarlet Knight. What if Sukuna was Spider-Man? Season 1, Part 1. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.